Elsewhere in this course, I showed you how to create ranges or sequences of numbers that followed a pattern. Many applications rely on random numbers, though. So in this movie, I will show you how to generate random numbers using a variety of techniques. I have started MATLAB, and I'm working in a blank command window. The most straightforward way to create a random number is to use the rand function. So at the command window and in the command prompt, if I just type rand and enter, then I get a random number. If I type rand again, then I get a different random number. These numbers are only displayed to 4 decimal places, but the actual numbers are in fact much longer. Another thing to point out is that random numbers in MATLAB are not actually random. They are generated by an algorithm that is based on a start or a seed value. And you can change the seed value either by specifying it yourself, by shuffling, which causes the computer to go through a process of choosing a new seed, or you can change it to the default, which puts it back in its normal pattern based on the system clock. So let me show you what that looks like. If you want to set the random number generator to a specific seed number so that you know what the results are going to be, you type RNG, followed by a left parentheses, and then whatever you want the seed to be. So let's type in 256 and enter. Okay, it was only an internal change. So type rand, and you get 0.0458. If I type rand again, then I get a different value. But now let's see what happens if I put in the same seed that I had before. So RNG, left parentheses 256, right parentheses and enter. Again, nothing changes visibly. And then I'll type rand and enter, and I get 0.0458 back. So when I know where we are in the sequence, then I know the next pseudo-random number that is coming up. If you want to shuffle, you can just type RNG, left parentheses, and then a single quote because you're entering in a string. Shuffle. Single quote to close out the string, and then enter. Again, nothing seems to change. Do rand, and you get a different starting value. And you can also use default, which again works off the system clock. And I'll type that in, RNG, left parentheses, and then in single quotes, default, followed by right parentheses, enter, and then RAND, and you see that we get a different random value. Now, let's suppose that you want to get a random value that has a decimal component as opposed to an integer. To get a random real number between 0 and 100, you can multiply the number by 100. So you type rand, then an asterisk and 100, enter, and you get 90.5792. So the base value was 0.905792. One thing to note is that if you were to do something like round these values either up or down to get rid of the decimal component, you're not getting a true distribution of random integer values, that is whole numbers. Instead, you can use the randi function to get randomly distributed integers from 1 to 100. So it's a uniform distribution. So I'll type randi, followed by a left parentheses, and then a left square bracket, then the start of the range, so I have 1, 100, followed by a right square bracket to close out the range definition, a right parentheses and enter, and I get 13. If I were to do the same, RANDI, left parentheses, start the argument list, left square bracket 1, 100, right square bracket, right parentheses, enter, and I get 92, and I can continue doing that. You can also generate values within the normal distribution, and that is the classic bell curve, where values toward the middle of the distribution tend to occur more often than values toward the tails of the curve. If you want normally distributed random values from 0 to 1, then you can use the rand_n function. So just type rand_n and enter, and you get 0.3188, rand_n again, and then you get minus 1.3077. And again, this is a normal distribution, or more appropriately, the standard normal distribution. So it has a mean or average of 0, and a standard deviation of 1. So about 68% of all values will be within one standard deviation, plus or minus, so minus 1 to 1. And then values get more rare as you go out. So I'll just type rand_n again. We're closer within one standard deviation on the minus side, rand_n one more time, and we're a little bit above it. And again, those values are being created or generated by the internal algorithms of the program. As you can see, you have many different ways to generate random numbers of different characteristics within MATLAB.